I'm Kosta from Car Focus, and today we're going to be looking at a Tesla Model 3. In the Model 3, like the one we have here today, you get three different options. The options are the rear-wheel drive single electric motor option, or the all-wheel drive dual electric motor, and the dual electric motor high performance. Of the three, the one that we have here today is the single motor rear-wheel drive. We do cover quite a lot in these walkthroughs, so feel free to use the chapters and skip ahead to the parts you're interested in. In addition to the three different model lineups, you also get different color options. White has no extra charge, but the blue one that we have here today is a $1,500 option. The other options that we have on our car today are the 19-inch rims, come standard with an 18-inch alloy. The only way that you can order and purchase a Tesla is through their website. You've got to go online, you've got to build the car that you want, and then you've got to hit the pay and order button. There are quite a lot of options. For example, on the autopilot side of things, Tesla is well known for its advanced autopilot features. However, if you do want the top of the range autopilot features on your Tesla, it is currently in Australia a $10,000 option. Front styling of the car, the Tesla styling is very unique. They definitely have a distinct signature about them, and they're instantly recognizable on the road. And how do they do that? Quite simply, with these signature headlights, the front grille, that's now become a Tesla standard, but all other electric manufacturers are starting to adopt, and that is the lack of a front grille or any kind of air intake. A lot of the things that we're going to see here today, and what struck me the most about the Tesla, is how simple and purpose-built everything is. There's almost no embellishments on the car. Everything is probably a little bit understated and serves a purpose or a function. You do have three cameras mounted at the top there, and they all form part of Tesla's autopilot and safety features that come standard with the vehicle. So it uses three front cameras over there to figure out what's going on in front of the car. It's got highly advanced passenger or pedestrian rather detection systems, as well as traffic detection systems. It can actually pick up traffic in multiple different lanes, as well as pedestrians walking up and down the side of the road. So it's really highly advanced and cutting edge. Even though there's no pronounced front grille, there is still a small intake at the bottom here with a couple of radiators that you can see if you glance through there. The vehicle does still use cooling, and the primary purpose of the cooling system is to keep the battery cool. And in fact, going through the owner's manual, it also uses the air conditioning system to cool down the battery if it needs to, but it also uses a small amount of air intake here and some radiators. It's got front park sensors, as you'd expect, running across the front of the vehicle. It's also got a point here where you can put in a tow hook so that you can tow the car if you need to. Coming to the side of the vehicle, simple, a very small little flick just here on the front fender. This is actually one of the side cameras that reads the blind spot as you drive along, and also forms part of the 360-degree view camera. One of the things that jumped out at me the most with the styling of the vehicle is that it's really only got this one pillar that runs along the top here. It still has a B pillar, but the windshield actually forms part of the glass roof, which is a two-panel panoramic sunroof, which then links up and forms part of the rear window. So really the entire roof, front windshield and rear windshield of the car are made up of only three pieces of glass. Tesla tells us that the glass is UV rated and UV filtered. So even though the car is covered in glass, you are protected from UV radiation. Still staying on the side of the vehicle, this B pillar center section over here, they've actually chosen to use glass on this pillar, which I think is a nice touch. A lot of manufacturers have a split pillar here that stays with the front door and the rear door, but because the Tesla doesn't actually have a door frame, there's no need to put a split pillar, and so they've actually had the luxury of being able to use only a single B pillar, and they've shielded it with a piece of glass. So you've actually got four pieces of glass that form the side of the window. And what I do like about glass is that it doesn't scratch as easily as some of the trims that other manufacturers put around the door frames of their doors. In the pillar situated just there is another camera, and that also forms part of Tesla's advanced autopilot system. The door handles are also worth mentioning. They're definitely a signature door handle for Tesla, and they've gone completely different to any other kind of door handle. You actually have to push them in there. That unlocks the car, and then you can use them like that. The RFID tag reader is only situated on the driver's side. So like here in Australia, where we drive on the left-hand side of the road and have right-hand drive vehicles, the RFID reader is in the right B pillar. In the States, it would be on the other side, on the left B pillar, because that's where the driver would be. Looking at the back of the vehicle, a very distinct signatures on the back of the Tesla, starting with the logo here. Very simple, understated, nothing else on the back of the vehicle in terms of badging. Nothing to say that it's a Model 3. If you go to the dual motor, you do get a dual motor badge over there, which this one doesn't have. LED rear tail lights. It also has a power tailgate, which you can activate just there. you can move that little case around really well and position it anywhere you want in the rear of the vehicle. Looking at the rear tailgate, Tesla has opted to go with a sedan tailgate, so it opens like a sedan would open. That's probably got to do with the fact that they've used glass all the way through the rear windshield and the roof. So the roof and the rear windshield are actually one piece of glass. And because of that, there's no way to hinge a more hatchback kind of opening. And for me, if it had a more hatchbacky kind of opening, it would be more versatile and you'd be able to fit larger items into the storage area. Because it's an electric vehicle, there's no engine in the front, so it has what they call a front trunk, also referred to sometimes as the frunk. You can pop that open using the release button inside the vehicle, and once it's released, it is on gas struts, so you can lift it up and it doesn't get in the way. Now it does have some storage space over here, so it's got this little compartment. It also has a little tow hook, and it also has a little cabin light. Also here you can fill up your washer fluid levels. In the back seat of the Tesla, again, like I always do for these videos, I put the seat in my driving position so that you can get a feel of the legroom. It is pretty good back here. The vehicle's got nice, soft finish. It does have the leather seats, the leather finish, and it is very nice and soft and comfortable. You do have two USB-C charging points in the center console, as well as two rear air vents. Even though the Model S, the one we have here today, is a rear-wheel drive, because it's an electric car and the motor sits on top of the rear differential, there is no drive shaft or drive shaft tunnel running through the center of the vehicle, because of course there's no engine in the front and no need to transfer the power. So that does mean that you get this beautiful flat space here at the back, no interruptions. It also means that even if you're the center passenger, you got a lot of foot room here in the center passenger position. So that's great, a lot of space, really comfortable at the back. The pano roof, if you glance up, like we mentioned earlier, one of the disadvantages is that you can't hinge a hatchback style rear tail, but the advantage is that you get this sweeping glass roof that just joins up with the rear window and gives you some great views and great visibility all round. Really, you've only got these two pillars. You've got this pillar and the front pillar that give the car structural integrity. There is an armrest here, two cup holders that comes down, as well as your three rear head restraints and the center one that can come up, three 3-point seat belts all the way through the rear of the vehicle. You can hang a coat off that little hook. And you've also got these little reading lights that you can switch on and off just like that. You've got the leather seats, very well finished. Hug you, kind of a sport feel, but at the same time really comfortable without being overly sporty. You've got the soft finish paneling across here to make it nice and soft if you rest your knee across the sides there. The glove box has actually got no switch if you look at it, so you've actually got to go onto the console here and go into the area where you can unlock the glove box. So you go there. And there we go. So you've got to actually open the glove box from the center control panel. And inside there it does have some clever little storage spaces, modulated, so well designed. I'm looking at the inside of the vehicle. You can either get a black finish here in Australia, or you can get a black and white finish. The car stays black, but the seats become white. This wood finish look that you get here is incorporated with the black option, so like the one we have here today. Front passenger seats are electric, and they're also heated. Driver's door, you've got the electric window operation, and then you've got the door release button. This door release button electronically opens the car door. However, in an emergency, if there's a complete loss of power, there is a override or a manual handle that sits just in there. So you just pull that up like that, and that will release the door. So there is still a mechanical vehicle door latch release system, but it's only on the two front doors. There isn't one for the rear passenger door. Looking at the inside of the vehicle, simple. I love it. Everything is very simple. There's not a lot going on here. There's really just these two controllers on the steering wheel, which can scroll up and down and have sideways functionality. So they're 4-way controllers. So you get two of those. They serve multiple different functions. So depending on what you've selected here, if you want to adjust your mirrors, then all of a sudden this controller can adjust your mirrors. In normal driving mode, it controls your volume. If you want to adjust different things, the controllers are multifunctional. You've also got two stalks on either side. The one is actually your gear selector. So you'll notice here in the center console, there is no gear selection. It all happens off this stalk right here. You also activate your smart cruise or autopilot modes using that stalk. And then on this side, you got your wipers and your indicators. Everything else is controlled from this center console. This 15-inch touchscreen display here controls everything else. Really simple. On the side here, you got the little car. And once you go into the car, you get all the different features and functions that you can control on the vehicle itself. You've got your driver's side temperature, you've got your driver's side heated seats, you've got your phone, your Spotify, front and rear, demisters. These are also wiper settings over there, so you can, at the moment our wipers are set to auto. Front and rear demisters. This little icon here is your menu button, and there's a whole lot of different options in there, including your heated steering, your cameras, your energy consumption, calendars, messenger, and even Zoom, so you can even attend your Zoom meetings from there. In here you've got the owner's manual. The owner's manual I find really handy. Even though it is digital and online, you also have access to it over here, and once you go in here you can do all sorts of things. And if you've got any questions about anything to do with the vehicle or how to use something, the digital owner's manual will walk you through it with pictures and descriptions, and it's really very easy to use. Passenger heated seats, passenger temperature controls, and of course your volume settings just there. So again, well laid out, easy to use, logical to find everything that you're looking for. Moving down and staying on the center console, you do have two separate wireless charging pods, I guess you can call them there. So you can actually attach two different smartphones and have them both charging wirelessly. This little storage compartment over here has got this door that slides open, and very clever use of the space. Close it, you just tap this forward and it comes back. The two different cup holders there. There's three different options for unlocking the car. There's the card. The card's supposed to be like an emergency backup that you keep in your wallet, and you keep it with your driver's license. The two other primary ways of operating the vehicle is the app via your smartphone, or you can buy an actual key fob from Tesla, which you can also then use like a traditional wireless key. So today we've just got the card. The RFID reader sits back there and it can read the card. The armrest nice and wide, so that it gives you lots of space for front and driver. Front passenger and driver to have lots of arm room and comfortable space to rest. Looking inside here, you do have a modulated compartment, so you've got this little tray that comes in and out, and then you've got more storage underneath the little tray. Just like that, so you can rest the key right there. Got space for coins, cards, all sorts of little things there. Just looking up here, you do have a light sensitive mirror over here that can detect light coming in. You've got these two little reading lights, similar to the ones we saw on the back console. And I did manage to find one other button, which is your emergency hazard button, which sits just there. So there's not a lot of buttons in the car, but there we managed to find one more. And then of course your panoramic roof. There is no slide, there is nothing to block off the roof completely, so you are relying on the UV tint that is put into the glass here to stop the sun from penetrating and overwhelming you on long distance trips. So other than the owner's manual, which we're not going to go into in detail because there's a lot going on there, in your main control menu you have these options. So you have your cameras, which gives you, your rear camera there and your two side cameras over there. You can then also access your dash cams. So your dash cams and your park cameras are different. So your dash cams are the ones that we saw inside the pillars, and these ones are used right and left to see what's going on sort of at an angle behind you. So if there's a cyclist in a cycling lane, these cameras are going to be able to pick them up. So as you indicate left or right, it actually brings up those cameras, and it gives you a view of your blind spot or where a cyclist or something like that would be as you're turning right, so that you don't turn right into somebody by mistake. Your energy reader, that's really important for an electric vehicle. This gives you your energy consumption and usage as well as your projected range. I do find that fluctuates as you drive the vehicle, so depending on how you're driving it, that projected range changes constantly. So you can definitely affect the range that you get out of your vehicle based on how you drive it. You then have access to calendars, messages, Zooms, theater. Theater is only available when you're stationary, but you can actually link your Netflix, your Disney, YouTube, whatever else it is that you want to watch. And you can actually sit here and watch when the vehicle is stationary. That's in theater mode. You also have arcade and toy box, which is games. There's a web browser as well, so you can actually search through this web browser, as well as your radio, a karaoke, and Apple Music. So those are the main apps. All right, so before we get started, I want to touch on the brakes. So the car still uses traditional brake calipers, front and rear, with hydraulic brakes. So in terms of fluids and stuff, you would still have to have hydraulic brake fluid. However, it also uses primarily regenerative braking. So regenerative braking on the vehicle, the braking is controlled here through the stopping mode. You get a hold, roll, or creep. In hold, the car is constantly using the regenerative braking and applying the reverse torque through the motor to charge the battery. So this one tends to be the most aggressive regenerative braking mode. Roll and creep will allow it to behave, creep allows it to behave more like an automatic, and roll will actually allow it to roll around more like, you know, a manual with the clutch pressed in. So just depending on what kind of feel you want the car to have, you can select your different driving, or rather your different braking modes over there. So at the moment I got it in hold, which means that even when I put it into drive and release the brake, it doesn't go anywhere, it won't roll, it won't move, it doesn't do anything. So I've actually got to use the accelerator to start it, to get it to creep forward, and as soon as I remove my foot off the accelerator, it stops again. So that's in hold mode. Now that we're moving, it's not actually allowing me to change these while I'm in drive mode, so I've got to go back into park mode, and it's select creep. Once we're in creep, we can go back into drive mode, and now when I release my foot off the brake, it actually starts creeping forward like an automatic. And then finally, if we go back into park, you can go into roll mode. So those are the 3 different braking modes. I prefer to drive it in hold, mainly because I feel like I can really just drive the car just using the accelerator, and I like the idea that it's using and regenerating the battery with every last ounce of braking power that I ask it to give me. Really efficient. Once you move it into reverse, you get your reverse camera as well as your 2 blind spot cameras over there, and allows you to see all the way around the vehicle, making it really simple and easy to reverse. Really high quality cameras all the way around. So once we're back into drive, we can move it along. The other thing that I noticed with the vehicle is the steering wheel itself. The steering wheel is actually quite small. Well, when I say quite small, it's not tiny, but it is relatively smaller than what I'm used to, and it actually gives you a nice feel and a nice control. You can also change your steering modes to standard, comfort and sport. So the first thing we noticed when we looked at the car underneath is how flat it is. It's a lot of attention to aerodynamics, so every single panel, every single area that could potentially be exposed or create drag has actually been covered up by custom built paneling all the way along the bottom of the vehicle. In fact, we had to remove the rear panel so that we can get a closer look at what's actually going on with the electric motor. So the electric motor at the back, it is rear wheel drive, it is a single motor. The electric motor is coupled to the rear differential, and it drives the 2 back wheels via conventional drive shafts through a differential. So it still uses conventional multi-link suspension at the back with coil springs. It also still has traditional brakes and brake calipers, and there's quite an extensive amount of information in the owner's manual which clarifies how you care for your brakes and what you need to do to maintain them. Now that brings us on to maintenance. And maintenance, Tesla has taken another very interesting approach to vehicle maintenance. So most manufacturers typically tell you that your car needs to be serviced every year or every 15,000 kilometers. They give you like a predefined maintenance schedule. Tesla doesn't. Once you read through the owner's manual, they actually stipulate that you need to maintain the car as and when it requires maintenance. In fact, there's only one air filter that you need to replace, and that air filter gets replaced at 15,000 kilometers, and you do it yourself, so there's no need to take it in anywhere and have somebody else fit the filter for you. The smart autopilot is picking up all sorts of barriers and obstructions around there. I found this to be really intuitive and well designed, and I was very surprised at the amount of different things it can actually pick up. So it picks up obstacles and it highlights them as orange cones. But it can also detect pedestrians, and it actually depicts those as little people walking. It even shows which direction they're moving in and where they're heading and which side of the car they're on. And it also detects other cars. So as you're driving through the traffic, it picks up multiple lanes of traffic to the left, to the right, behind it and in front of it. So it's really giving you a 360-degree view, an awareness of your environment and your surroundings. Teslas are also fitted with a more advanced autopilot than we have here today in the Model 3 that can do a lot more things than what the standard autopilot can do. They can actually change lanes. They have the summon feature where you can summon the vehicle to you through the app. All of those are optional extras, and you can option them in through the website when you purchase or order your Tesla. What's my take on electric vehicles? I think that they're definitely here to stay. I think that Tesla has made a statement with these electric cars and has led the way and shown all the other car manufacturers that it can be done and that there is a market for it. There's a lot of people now scrambling, a lot of other manufacturers scrambling to come up with a competitive product to the Tesla. And the Model 3 is actually really well positioned and very well priced to be able to compete with some of the new entrants to the market. I'm thinking about it more when I do the walkthroughs. I'm always just thinking about it like as an owner, just a normal day-to-day car. If I were to buy this car, what would I do with it? How would I use it? Is it practical? Is it functional? Those are the kind of things that I like to look at. 0 to 100, yes, you can get the Model 3 high performance, which halves its acceleration rate down from about 6 point something seconds to 3 point something seconds. But the truth is, all these 0 to 100s, unless you take your car to a drag strip in a safe environment, you're never really going to do that kind of acceleration day to day on normal urban roads, or at least you certainly shouldn't be attempting it. If there's anything else that you'd like us to do a walkthrough on Car Focus, leave it in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.